All right, let's just jump right in. I'm going to throw an impossibly huge number at you right off the bat. 400 billion. That is the estimated number of stars hanging out in our galaxy, the Milky Way, alone. It's a number so vast, so mind-bogglingly huge, that our human brains genuinely struggle to even picture it. But let's try. Think about it this way. If you started counting one star every single second, it would take you over 12,000 years just to tally up the stars in our own cosmic backyard.
Okay, but let's narrow that down, because we're looking for life, right? Scientists estimate that roughly 20% of those 400 billion stars have planets orbiting right in the habitable zone. You know, that Goldilocks sweet spot where it's not too hot, not too cold, and liquid water can actually exist. So do the math, and that leaves us with about 80 billion potentially Earth-like homes just in our galactic neighborhood. That's 80 billion distinct chances for life to take root, literally right next door.
Now let's zoom out even further to the truly mind-bending stuff. Our Milky Way is just one of an estimated 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. 2 trillion! When you start compounding numbers like that across the cosmos, the sheer math dictates that alien life shouldn't just be a maybe or even probable. It absolutely has to be a certainty. I mean, there are more galaxies out there than grains of sand on every single beach on Earth.
So, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're opening up a cosmic cold case. We're diving into a question so simple, yet so deeply terrifying that it has literally kept physicists up at night for decades. We are unpacking the ultimate existential mystery, the Fermi Paradox.
The inciting incident of this whole mystery actually happens back in 1950. The renowned physicist Enrico Fermi was just having a casual lunch with his colleagues at the Los Alamos lab. They were sitting around, chatting about recent UFO sightings in the news, making small talk exactly like you or I would over a turkey sandwich. Just a completely ordinary day, until it wasn't. Right in the middle of that lunch, Fermi just stops, looks around, and blurts out this incredibly simple question. But where is everybody? And with those 5 words, he completely changed science forever and gave birth to this paradox. It's such a brilliant question because it points out this massive, glaring contradiction, right? The mathematical certainty that aliens should exist versus the complete, utter lack of physical evidence for them. Fast forward 11 years to 1961. Scientist Frank Drake decides to take this philosophical debate and turn it into hard science. He wanted to figure out exactly how many intelligent, communicating civilizations should exist right now. He needed a mathematical way to calculate the odds of alien contact, so he came up with what we now famously call the Drake equation. Drake basically took this massive, overwhelming, existential question and broke it down into logical, chronological steps. First, stars have to form. Second, a fraction of those get planets. Third, some of those planets must be able to support life. Fourth, that life actually develops intelligence. And finally, step 5, they build the tech to try communicating. And here's the crazy part. Even using super conservative, highly skeptical estimates for every single one of those hurdles, Drake's math concludes that thousands of advanced civilizations should currently exist in the Milky Way alone. So the math absolutely says they should be there. But to truly wrap our heads around the paradox, we gotta pivot away from the sheer size of space and look at the sheer scale of time. Our galaxy is roughly 13 billion years old. Keep that massive number in the back of your mind, because it introduces a deeply uncomfortable reality about how civilizations develop. Just think about human technological progress over the last 100 years. We went from literally the first wooden airplane flight to landing on the moon in a single human lifetime. Now imagine a civilization with a 1 million year head start on us. A million years is nothing, it's just a blink of an eye in cosmic time. But if even one single civilization had that kind of head start, they would have had more than enough time to build ships, spread out, and seamlessly colonize the entire galaxy by now. And yet, we hear absolutely nothing. Total silence. Let's interrogate our first suspect for this deafening silence, known as the Great Filter. This theory assumes there is an impossible evolutionary barrier, a filter, that almost no civilization ever survives. It could be some biological hurdle, like the massive leap from single-cell to multi-cell life. Or, much more ominously, it could be self-destruction. Things like nuclear war or irreversible planetary destruction, once a species gets technologically advanced enough to actually wipe itself out.
Now, this theory sets up a genuinely terrifying gamble. On one hand, the filter might be safely behind us. Maybe the hardest step was something incredibly rare, like complex cells forming in the primordial soup billions of years ago. If that's the case, hey,
We got phenomenally lucky. We are incredibly rare, and we might actually survive the cosmos. But the alternative? Chilling. If the filter is ahead of us, it means almost every advanced civilization eventually hits a technological wall and inevitably destroys itself. And if that's true, well, humanity is simply next in line for doom.
All right, let's move to an even more deeply unsettling idea, one proposed by the incredible Chinese sci-fi author Liu Cixin, the dark forest theory. This envisions the universe not as some empty, peaceful void, but as a pitch-black forest where every civilization is a hunter. They are all creeping through the trees, stepping super carefully, and desperately hiding their tracks from whatever else might be lurking out there in the dark.
The logic here is brutal, but it makes sense. Because you can never truly know if a stranger in the dark forest is friendly or hostile, pure survival logic dictates you must eliminate a potential threat before it can eliminate you. Silence is survival. And the terrifying implication for us? We have been loudly blasting radio waves into space for a century. We've been beaming out everything from radar pings to episodes of I Love Lucy. Our exact location is already out there. We might have already alerted the hunters.
Now, if that's a bit too grim for you, check out the third theory. This one positions humanity as an exhibit in a cosmic zoo. The zoo hypothesis suggests that advanced aliens are absolutely out there, they know exactly where we are, but they are deliberately watching us without making contact. Kind of like scientists observing wild animals in a protected nature preserve. They might be strictly enforcing a no-contact rule until we naturally evolve past our current, let's face it, highly destructive state.
The fourth theory is way less sinister, and honestly, it really just comes down to sheer logistics. Space is genuinely incomprehensibly large, and our human technology is still incredibly limited. We simply haven't searched enough of the cosmos yet to definitively say no one is out there. It'd be like taking a single cup of water from the ocean and concluding that whales don't exist just because you didn't catch one in your cup.
To really put our search into perspective, think about the distance our earliest radio signals have actually traveled. They've reached out about 100 light-years in every direction from Earth, which feels like a lot until you realize the Milky Way galaxy is 100,000 light-years across. Our footprint is basically a microscopic speck. We are essentially standing in a dark closet, whispering to ourselves and wondering why the whole city hasn't answered back. We might just be looking and listening in the completely wrong direction.
But we can't ignore the clues we do have. And there is one major anomaly in this cold case, originating from a radio telescope in Ohio back in 1977. While systematically scanning the skies, astronomers picked up a perfectly structured, incredibly strong signal originating from deep space. This haunting signal lasted for exactly 72 seconds. It spiked dramatically in intensity and then just vanished as quickly as it appeared. It has never been fully explained. And despite pointing our absolute best, most sensitive equipment at that exact same spot on the sky for decades, it has never been detected again.
The data from this thing was so unusual, so perfectly matching what we would expect an intentional, intelligent alien transmission to look like, that the monitoring astronomer simply took his pen, circled the sequence of numbers on the computer printout, and wrote just one word in the margin: wow. And to this day, it is famously known as the wow signal.
And honestly, that perfectly encapsulates the paradox we are trapped in. The entire universe is 13.8 billion years old, with infinite opportunity, billions of habitable worlds, and endless time for life to reach out. Yet all we really have to show for it is 72 seconds of unexplained static and that lingering question from a lunch table back in 1950.
So we are left with the ultimate unknown. Maybe they haven't found us yet because the universe is just too vast. Maybe they found us a long time ago and deliberately chose silence so they could survive. Or maybe, just maybe, the most profound answer of all is true. We are the very first ones here, the solitary pioneers of the universe.
If this explainer got you thinking, please hit that like button and subscribe. Genuinely, your support helps us keep making these deep dives. And you'll definitely want to be here next week, because we are going back even further. Not just a million years, but back to the very first second of the universe, to see exactly how space, time, matter, and energy appeared from literally nothing. That's right, we're tackling the Big Bang.
But before we go, I really want to hear from you. Drop your theory down in the comments. Are we truly alone in the dark forest? And if there is a great filter out there, is it safely behind us, or is humanity speeding right toward it? Let me know what you think, and until next time, keep questioning everything.